Are you ready?
You better get ready.
Get ready to dive into the heart of local sports action. Broadcasting live from the heartland of Missouri. Welcome to the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN.
Get set.
Because it's time to catch up on the latest local highlights, in-depth analysis, and interviews from the Boot Heel and beyond.
Marcus said, here we go.
Welcome in. It's the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com. Rusty Hendricks here in the SEMO ESPN studios this morning. Happy Saturday to you, and hope everybody has had a good week, and looking forward to a good weekend as well. So, yeah, it's summer, it's hot, it's been a tough week as far as that goes, but look, that's part of it, right? Part of it, and in the swing, a lot of baseball going on, and we'll talk a lot of baseball today, a lot of Cardinal talk, nearing closer to the trade deadline as coming up towards the end of the month, so not a lot of time left, so just a week away, a little less than a week away, I guess, technically. So what do the Cardinals do? We'll talk about it. 5 games left during the regular season here in the month of July before August 1st. So we'll see. We'll see what happens for the Cardinals. We'll talk about them with Josh Jacobs. Happy to have him on. He is a site expert at the Redbird Rants, host of Dylan the Cards podcast as well. So he does a lot of work. Jacobs, he's definitely a great follow on X if you haven't done that before. So he's the guy I want to talk to at 9:30. Have you heard about the Babe Ruth World Series? Okay. Of course, it's been here locally last few years. Now it's going to be in Florida this year, but 2 Missouri teams are going to make it. The Charleston Fighting Squirrels, who won the regional, and congrats to them, and also the team that won the Missouri State Tournament in GSR Elite. And we're going to talk to Mike Mitchell, the head coach for GSR Elite. We'll talk to him in about 15 minutes from now. But first, let's talk a little Cardinal baseball. Hey, we got a W, another W last night. And in fact, folks, listen to this. Listen to this. 2 wins in a row. Not 1, but 2. One on Thursday night, 9-7. They won last night. And a shutout last night, 3-0. So listen to this, folks. It's the first back-to-back wins for the St. Louis Cardinals since a month ago. A month ago. June 27th through the 29th. That was the last time the Cardinals won back-to-back games. It's been a month since they've won back-to-back games. Hey, but they did it against the Padres, a team. Look, they are chasing in the wild card. We'll get to a little bit more of it, but right now, currently, they're a game and a half out. Game and a half out of the wild card. Now, don't look about the division. They're over 8 games out of the division, but a game and a half out of the wild card. Right now, San Diego holds the 3rd and final wild card spot. So look, 2 more games remaining today and tomorrow. Hey, Cardinals have a chance to leapfrog. You have the Giants and the Reds there as well. Just a game out. But, game and a half for the Cardinals. And so last night, they get things going. It was a 0-0 game in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Little fireworks happen. Look, Wilson Contreras up at the plate. Bottom of the 2nd, Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres. Wilson Contreras has been hit a lot. And I don't know if he's a guy that kind of sets up, close to the plate. He has a leg kick that kind of, makes him late to react to balls, but hit by a pitch again. Didn't take it well. Just frustrated because he's been hit. He's been hurt because of those. And a little fun last night. Let's listen in.
And he just got hit for the 15th time.
He's got a long look out at Pivetta. Diaz talking and walking Contreras down the first base line. Now the benches are going to empty.
All right, so you hear the fans kind of whistling and cheering. Not a lot there. That was from FanDuel Sports Midwest. Chip Carey on the call. We'll get another one of his calls here in a moment. But, whatever. It was a little, both teams, the bullpen's coming out. They just stand around, nothing doing. What happened to the old benches clearing brawls, huh? Now, look. Of course, the Cardinals had one of those with the Reds and some injuries. We don't want that. We don't want any injuries. But what happened to the old times, huh? Miss that. It would have been fun. Mike Schilt, Ali Marmor coming out. Maybe had a little tussle between the one former manager for the Cardinals and the one current manager for the Cardinals. That would have been fun, right? Those two getting in a little tussle. I got my money on Ali, by the way. He's a little younger, a little more spry. But, look, Contreras, again, understandably frustrated. He chirped back to Pivetta. Pivetta's like, all right, if you're gonna mouth at me, I'm going to mouth back. And anyway, that's where it started. Nothing happened. But, anytime there's a benches clearing issue, you got to talk about it because it doesn't happen every game. But the Cardinals, moving on, able to find a run early in Joel Pozo, able to knock a run in to give the Cardinals a 1-0. Can we get Pozo to play more, please? I'm done with the Pages play every day thing. This guy, Pages, look, I like him. I love him to be a backup. I think he's a great backup, and I think Pozo would be a decent backup. However, Pages should not be starting every day. I understand the pitchers like him, but we'll get into this in a minute, but have you looked at your pitcher's ERA since May 30th? It's the worst in baseball. So if he's that good behind the plate helping his pitchers, maybe it would be a little better than the worst in baseball as far as his starting pitching ERA. Yeah. So again, nothing against Pages. I think he's a good guy, a great guy in the locker room that people like. But, again, we need more Pozo. We need more Pozo in the lineup, and he was able to give the Cardinals the lead. But this was the biggest play of the game. Mason Wynn coming through the youngsters. Good to see him as the Cardinals build their lead out.
Line into left center. That's going to get down and score two. Mason Wynn streaks around first. It's a bases-clearing double. It's 3-0. And Pivetta is steaming.
All right, so Wynn with a double in the left center field gap, scoring two. That's all the Cardinals needed. 3-0 victory. They get it done. Don't look now. Miles Michaelis has his ERA under 5. Under 5, folks. 4.94 ERA. Look, he pitched well. Give credit where credit is due. Miles Michaelis pitched well last night, and they haven't been getting it from their starters. He went 5 innings, 7 hits, no runs, no walks, and just the 1K. Matz, Maton, Romero, and Helsley were great. All great. And all four of those guys maybe on trade watch as well. Potentially all four of those guys could be lifted this year. Matz, Maton, Romero, and Helsley. They could potentially all get traded, or at least some of them could be traded. And, they showed out last night as well, showing what they could do, pitching great last night. And the Cardinals get the shutout 3-0 over the Padres. So, good performance. Ivan Herrera keeps on hitting. This dude is legit. 2 more hits, 319 average this year. Contreras had a good day at the plate. Again, win with that big hit. 2 RBIs as well. So, good win for the Cardinals. The question remains, though, okay, what do we do? What do we do with the Cardinals? They're within striking distance of the wild card. Do the Cardinals front office management decide, okay, let's try to incrementally add and go for it? Or do they say, look, we've seen what this team is, and they're not going to make too much noise, so let's sell off some pieces and look towards the future. That's the camp that I am in. And the signal of late, at least, some of the message, at least before or during that Colorado series, because, look, as you look at the schedule, they had the rough series with the D-backs out of the All-Star break. They got swept, and they lost 2 of 3 to the Rockies. Okay? So you are just 1-5 coming out of the break before the last 2 wins. I mean, do these wins do that much for you? I don't think so. You are what you are. Now, Liberatore on the mound tonight, we'll see. Hopefully he can have a better outing and things can go well. Finally, McGreevy has been in. Haven't talked to you since last week, and Fetty has been, lifted, DFA'd. Way too long. It took him about a month late, okay? I was talking about it a long time before that. But I'm finally glad that they made the decision. They didn't wait to the trade deadline. They shouldn't have waited as long as they did, and then they didn't get anything for him. But, nonetheless, now Michael McGreevy finally is in his rightful place in the Cardinals' rotation, and that's good to see as well. But again, the fact remains, what do the Cardinals do? What do the Cardinals do? What do they decide? And my hope is that they sell off some pieces. Now, if they can get some controllable assets as far as in return or even buying some controllable assets that can help them for the future, great. I'm fine with that. But look towards the future. You can't get rentals, guys, right now. That's not going to help you. But the Cardinals, listen to this. Since May 30th, and this helps make my decision, okay, this is a large sample size. 2 months of sample size. They're a minus 44 run differential. Okay, what that means is you add up all the scores from all the games, they've been outscored by 44 runs by their opponents since May 30th. Okay, that's a large sample size, 50-some-odd games or whatever. The starting pitching ERA, worst in baseball, around 5.70 ERA. Worst in baseball since May 30th. The offense has been somewhat mediocre. They're bottom 6 in offense, and more than half of their games that they have scored 3 runs or less. Look at last night. Hey, they got the win, but they scored 3 runs. Mediocre offense. Look, at times I like what I see, and they have some good pieces, but as a whole, it's been just kind of average. It just has. Now, you can win probably with their offense. I don't think it's a negative for this team, but their starting pitching has been. Now, I think the best thing for the team has been the bullpen, no doubt. The bullpen's been pretty good. But listen to this. Since May 30th, their record, 22-27, a .449 winning percentage. Is that a playoff team? 22-27? I don't think so. I don't think so. Look, they had a good May. They had a nice run. They had a little bit of a tough start in the April, but they had one good month. May was great. They had a good month. They got everybody believing. But the Cardinals now have some work to do. So, again, what do you think? What do they do at the trade deadline? What should they do? Again, my thoughts, sell off their controllable pieces. Phil Maton should be gone. Steven Matz should be gone. Ryan Helsley, have to trade him. Okay, that's 3 guys off the bat. You listen on offers from guys like Arenado, Michaelis, and Gray. Michaelis is staying, but okay. Doubtful those guys are going to move, but listen on them. And then listen to other guys. Like, I would look to see, you need to clear maybe some space for some guys. So a guy like, if you're in or out on Sajaci, if you're in or out on like a Lars Nootbaar, okay. Alec Burleson, which one do you like better? I'll take Burleson over Nootbaar personally. But, okay, maybe you shift one of those guys out. You got to think about your future for the Cardinals. That's, to me, what is important. And we'll see what Josh Jacobs thinks. We're going to get his thoughts coming up at 9:30. But next, we're going to talk some Babe Ruth baseball. Talking things over with Mike Mitchell, the head coach of GSR Elite, the 17U team that's going to the Babe Ruth World Series. You want to stay with us for that. We'll be right back on the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. back in. It's the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com. Don't forget, you can also check it out on your free app on your phone, your mobile device. You can carry it wherever you are. And again, that is a free download on your app store. And happen to be joined now on our phone line with Mike Mitchell. He is the head coach for the GSR Elite 17U team that won the Missouri State Babe Ruth Championship, punched their ticket to the Babe Ruth World Series in Florida. So first of all, Mike, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us this morning. How are we doing?
Oh, we're doing great this morning. How are you doing?
Doing well. So, look, I know playing this weekend, kind of getting geared up, ready to go for next week. So just give us an update of how things are going this weekend and just how the guys are playing.
Yeah, so we had the regional last weekend where we finished runner-up to the Squirrels, 15-13 game, crazy roller coaster ride. If you missed it, you got to go back and find that one on Game Changer. That's a fun game to watch. This weekend we're playing up here in Scott City High School. We're playing in the Bulls tournament. I knew when I scheduled this tournament, this would be one of two things for us. This would be our World Series, and we'd go out there and we'd just really get after it. Or this would be a tune-up for the World Series, which was high hopes from the beginning. But we managed to win the state championship, and we punched a ticket to Florida to the World Series. So this tournament, yesterday we went 0-2 yesterday, but the guys understand what we were doing. We were getting a lot of reps for guys that typically don't get a ton of reps that we're going to need. We're going to need to be deep in the World Series. So those guys need to be ready to go. We're out here. We've got a 10 o'clock start this morning against another Missouri Bulls team. We're going to shift gears, get back to our starting lineup today, and we're going to get out here and try to go out on a high note before we pack up and head out to Florida Thursday.
So Thursday is when you're leaving. So have you already thought about, okay, what do I need to bring? Started to get some of those things ready yet?
I'm a list guy, and my wife and daughter make fun of me. I have a list that I save on my computer, and it's a baseball tournament list and vacation list, and I got a list for everything. So yeah, I do have a list, and I need to go back and update because there's some extra things we got to take down to the World Series. We're going to be down there for a while. 9-10 days in the hotel room can be a little claustrophobic, so we're going to take some home things down there to make it feel more like home. We're all staying in the same hotel, so that's kind of cool. We get to hang out together, playing one game a day. We'll have plenty of time to enjoy Florida and just enjoy the atmosphere of the World Series. Absolutely.
That's going to be a fun time. So, but take us back to Saturday, July the 12th, okay, the Missouri State Championship. Now that you've had a little bit of time to reflect, what are some flashpoints of memories that stand out from that day?
That was a good day. For us. Our offense started slow in that tournament. We won the first game 3-2. I believe we scored 8 runs in the second game, and then they caught fire. We scored 25 runs in the semifinal and then 15 in the championship. We scored 40 runs in 2 games over 9 innings. Both those were short games. What stands out the most, really, I coupled both those days together, the bats. Those bats, these guys, this team was built, it would seem, around offense. The funny thing about the building of this team, these guys actually built this team on their own and then asked me to come coach, and we picked up a few players to fill some gaps, but there's a ton of heavy bats in this lineup, and, Hillhouse is a big ballpark. The ball doesn't typically carry well there, but we challenged the fence several times, and the biggest standout to me is our bats. Our offense really stepped up. Our defense played great. Our pitching was great, but the offense just really shined on those 2 days in the tournament.
And has that been your strength all year, is that offense?
So June was a different schedule for us. June, we're a 17-year-old team, and then our July schedule, we have 3 18-year-olds that play with us in the Babe Ruth, since we're playing an 18-year-old division. So in June, we traveled major showcases, PBR, PG, Play 9, went to Birmingham, Columbia, Kansas City, playing. The guys told me, hey, we're going to play these teams we see on YouTube. So they thought they could beat them, and we went out there and we went head-to-head with them. We found out that most of them we couldn't beat. We ended up playing. There was one game we played a team out of Memphis. Everybody on their roster is committed to go play college baseball. Most of them Division I.
Yeah.
One guy was not signed, and that's because he's declaring for the draft. So June looked like that, if you can imagine. we competed well. Don't get me wrong. We lost 3 one-run ball games, and 4 or 5 of our games were to top 100 teams in the nation. We lost 2 to top 25s. The team I just mentioned, they were ranked number 1 in the nation. We went out and played the gauntlet in June, and in July we picked up some Babe Ruth games and then the state tournament. And I think seeing that type of pitching really prepared these guys for what we were going to see in the Babe Ruth category.
Yeah, look, when you're seeing that type of competition, that only can better you and get you ready. Especially when you can face some adversity, find a way to get on the other side of it. That's only going to help you on the long run. But I wanted to ask you about, look, the Charleston Fighting Squirrels won the Midwest Plains Regional, so there are going to be 2 Missouri teams making it to the World Series. How cool is that?
That's pretty awesome. There's not another group from Missouri we'd rather go with. Those guys over there, I coach a few of them. I actually coached the Squirrels back 15U, and we won state and went to regionals then. A lot of those guys, some of those guys are with me, and some of those guys are still on the Squirrels team. So, I'd mentioned to someone else before that we lost the regional, and I wouldn't call it a heartbreaker. I would call it an exhaustive effort on both sides. Both of us had to play 2 games that day, and it just, everything was there. It's just that both bats kept going great, and we lose a game like that, which we knew we were in, but we wanted to win the game. Both of us, when we started that game, us and the Squirrels, we both knew we were going to Florida, but we both went out there and really got after it. And it's really cool when you can lose a game, especially a big game like that, and half the other team come through, call you coach, and give you a big hug and tell you they'd see you in Florida.
That's awesome. Look, give us some names. Who are some players that have stood out this summer for your team?
Oh, wow. I could name all of them, I'll be honest with you. One of the players is my son, so I feel a little biased, so I mentioned him. But, Peyton's hit the ball real well all summer. He started slow in high school, and then even started slow in the summer, but really turned it on. And, batting near that low 400 range. Colby Estes from Chaffee. The kid's he's a monster. I know he's got a lot of looks, and if somebody doesn't grab that guy quick, he's going to end up going to college and play baseball. There's no doubt about it. So if you're listening, Colby Estes from Chaffee, somebody get on that guy and make him an offer quick before you lose him. Evan Bonifield, I can say that about all these guys. Bonifield steps out. He started slow, and he's caught fire. Christian McNew from Cape had a slow high school season, kind of struggled at the plate, and we got him in the gym, did some training, and he did some training over that 300 baseball with Blake DeWitt and got back right, and he's absolutely mashing the ball at the gaps right now. Jameson Sifford's lockdown shortstop, kind of battled through some injuries. Good at the plate, phenomenal defensive player. Keaton Wilcutt from Donovan, just that he's that guy that you put him on the mound and you expect to win that day. He's not going to overpower you, but he can land any pitch he's got anywhere you call it. He's that guy that's going to be all around the zone all day long. He's going to get his strikeouts, but he also lets your defense shine. Bill Middleton's been tough from Crowsville on the mound. He's been our ace. He's got a little bit of sidearm action and a heavy sink to his fastball. Cody Massey from Bernie has been just phenomenal behind the plate. He calls a great game. That kid's probably going to coach one of these GSR teams someday. I'm probably missing some, but I could go through the entire lineup, and they've all had really shining moments. We all collectively kind of started slow and just absolutely caught fire, and they've become a really, really fun team to watch.
So again, talking things over with Mike Mitchell, the head coach of GSR of Elite, and punched their ticket to the 2025 Babe Ruth World Series in Florida. It's going to be August the 1st through the 7th. So I guess, Mike, what are some things that you and your team's looking forward to the most as you get ready to go for the World Series next weekend? Just kind of what's the message as well to your team and how you want to be able to compete?
Well, we're definitely looking for the World Series. We're looking forward to that World Series experience. A lot of these guys went to the World Series last year in Branson, the 16-year World Series. Peyton played with them, and so they have an idea of what that looks like. But Florida's a little different character. It's a longer drive, so we're going for the World Series experience. The pool came out earlier, and we're really looking forward to putting on those USA jerseys. And we play the foreign opponents in our pool. We've got Asia Pacific and Nigeria both.
That's awesome.
So we're looking. That's just a cool experience. Last year we played New Zealand, and before the game they came out on the field and looked straight at us and did one of I believe they're called a haka, the Islander war ritual, and it was probably one of the most breathtaking moments of the entire World Series last year for me. So we're going for the experience. We want to experience playing these foreign teams. You know, the guys threw the football around with Korea last year. None of them could say one word and the other one's language. But they're out there throwing the football around. We're looking to make memories that you just don't forget. And this is, for a lot of people, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You know, we're getting to do it back to back in different settings. The message to my team: let's go to Florida ready. We're not going just for the World Series experience. We're going to win. We're going down there because we want to bring a title back that says world champion. So pack your bags, bring the sticks. Let's go win a title.
I like it. You got me fired up, Coach. Hey, are we going to get any beach time by chance? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're just over an hour and a half away from Daytona Beach. I've been there before, and the coolest thing about it to me is they let you drive on the beach for like $10. You can drive your car on the beach, and that just blew my mind. I've never been to a beach where you can actually drive on it. So one day a game, we catch an early game, we might go over to Daytona Beach and just kind of lounge around and just take in the whole thing.
Yeah, that'll be cool. They used to have the races there back a long time ago on the beach. But, Coach, really appreciate the time this morning. I know you're busy, about ready to get going here in about a half hour, so I'll let you go. Thanks so much for joining me this morning, and we want to wish you guys good luck next week, so wishing you the best.
All right, thank you.
All right, that is Mike Mitchell, again, the head coach of GSR Elite. Appreciate him for joining me. That's the Grippin Seams Revelers. Okay, what is GSR? Grippin Seams Revelers, and glad to have Mike Mitchell on here this morning and talking about his team. Excited for them. Look, anytime the Babe Ruth World Series is in, I'm ready, and I'm pumped up for it. Again, especially the last couple of years been here at Cape, has been an amazing experience, and I hope that they have a great time, and good luck to both them and the Fighting Squirrels next week. All right, we're going to talk Cardinals. What do they do at the trade deadline? We're going to ask Josh Jacobs next. We'll be right back. Welcome back in. It's the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com. You can also check us out on the free mobile app. It's a free download on your app store, the SEMO ESPN app. And also check us out, the podcast page on SEMOESPN.com/podcast, or on other avenues such as Spotify as well. So, happy to be joined now on our phone line with Josh Jacobs. He's a site expert at Redbird Rants, does a lot of great work there. I want to make sure and check that out. He's delving out content all the time, and he's a host of Dylan the Cards podcast, and definitely a follow that you want to have on X. That's at Josh Jaco98, and make sure and check him out. Doing a lot of great work covering the Cardinals. So, Josh, thanks so much for joining me this morning. How's it going?
Good, Rusty. It's always good to chat with you. So excited to talk about all things Cardinals today.
I love it. So I haven't really talked about with you before, but how long have you been a Cardinals fan, and where did you get your Cardinals fandom from?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, that's dates back to my dad, and just as soon as I can remember, I've always followed the Cardinals. I was prime. My fandom began prime early 2000s, so I got to grow up watching Pujols and Molina and Wainwright, which probably makes some people listening feel a little bit old that that's my earliest memories of the time. But I've always been a huge follower and fan of the Cardinals, and then over the last few years, it's been awesome to just continue to dive into that world deeper, so I'll have a little bit more access to the team and to be able to cover it. And I just love providing as much helpful coverage as possible to other fans. And I mean, I'm a baseball fan at heart, but obviously I have a strong affinity toward the Cardinals.
So what's your favorite Cardinal memory? That's a tough question, but I'm assuming something to do with the World Series. What's your favorite memory?
Yeah, it's hard not to put the David Freese Game 6 as, like, the top. But I think maybe my most random fun memory is, I think it was 2010. Colby Rasmus was kind of his, like, breakout year. He was probably one of my favorite players growing up. And there's this game, I don't know if people remember it, but he should have popped out to third base, but Pablo Sandoval dropped it in foul territory. And I remember thinking to myself, it was the bottom of the 10th inning. Rasmus is going deep here in the next pitch. It should be in the inning. Gets another fastball right down the middle, slugs it for a walk-off home run. And it's just like one of those moments when like you call a home run, it's your favorite player, crowd goes crazy, walk-off home run. And I'll always remember thinking in my head, like, he's going to go deep on this next pitch. They cannot, he's going to take advantage of this mistake by saying the ball, and he did.
That's pretty cool. A little blast from the past there with Kobe Rasmus. All right. Appreciate that. Let's get into a little bit of last night. Great. Listen to this. Cardinals win 2 in a row. The last time they did that, June 27th through the 29th. It's been a month ago since they've won back-to-back games, Josh.
Oof.
But look, they get the win. Miles Michaelis, ERA, under 5. 4.94 now. We'll take it. 3-0 win for the Cardinals. But what stood out to you last night, and did you enjoy the little fireworks from Wilson Contreras?
Of course. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with Wilson Contreras there and he's been red hot as of late. When his bat's going, it really helps raise the level of play of this team. His intensity, his fire, I think it rubs off on the pitching staff, and of course it rubs off on the offense. And I think for the last month or so, the bullpen's been really good, but to your point, they haven't won back-to-back games for a while because you're consistently getting pretty awful starting pitching really since the beginning of May, but it's really ramped up in the month of July, or so the end of May, but then in the month of July, it's really gone downhill. And then for the most part, the lineup's kind of gone cold, and there really hasn't been a guy in the middle of the lineup who can carry things. But as of late, Wilson Contreras has done that. Yvonne Herrera's back. Alec Burleson's been consistent. Brendan Donovan's an all-star. When you've got those 4 guys producing, it makes things a lot easier for this club. And so that's the reason they're 3 games above 500 on the season, even for how bad things feel right now. It's the reason they're only a game and a half out of the wild card. And they're in one of the most interesting and weird situations you could ever be in for this Cardinals team is that, yeah, they play good baseball when they're firing on all cylinders. And you can make an argument this team can make a run for the postseason, but when you look at all the context and what they're trying to build long term right now, and you see the prolonged slumps they go through, and you see the flaws they have, if you're the front office right now, you have to look at this team and say, yes, they have the ability to fire on all cylinders and compete with the Padres and the Phillies and teams like that. But is that a formula that you want to bank on? Is that something you think is going to happen when you get to October? And that's where I have my doubts. And so games last night are fun. It reminds me that I don't think this team is all that far away, but it's 2025 the year, probably not.
Yeah, I mean, look, Josh, that's the big conundrum that the front office is going to have to decide, and going to have to decide it pretty quick. But look, I think obviously what changed maybe the direction is what happened right after the All-Star break, being swept by the Diamondbacks. So, you know, before the Padres series, they were 1-5, you know, coming out of the break. But I guess that's the thing. They've won 2 games in a row. Okay, are we going to do this again? Are we going to jump back on the wagon? I mean, that's the question. So, I mean, the Cardinals shouldn't, right? I mean, they can't. They've got to start thinking about next year, right? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. It's so fun to watch it, and I get it. There's people, honestly, it splits the fan base, I think. I'll post something on X or post a story, and half the comments will be like, the team should have sold 2 years ago and torn it to the studs. And the other half will be, oh, they're only a game and a half out. How on earth could they sell? You buy. And it's that weird place they're in right now. And I think ultimately the best thing for this organization long-term is to cash in on the assets they have available to them at the deadline, relief pitchers that will be of interest to plenty of teams, listen on offers to all players. And it doesn't mean you should move guys, but you shouldn't be. There's really no player on this roster right now that is for sure untradeable and untouchable. They should be asking Chaim Bloom, what is it that you seek? What do you think this organization needs long term? And going after and targeting it. And I could see the argument that they could have a fun second half, but in all honesty, I would much rather see that with the young talent and allowing like young bullpen pitchers from Memphis to get an opportunity, going that direction, kind of like the Detroit Tigers did last year, rather than doing what they did last deadline, which is go after an Eric Betty, a Tommy Pham, patchwork it together, because I think there's probably a greater chance you get to the beginning of September and this team is out of it than that they're a strong wild card team looking to make a run in October.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think that I've been saying this for a little while now that the Cardinals should look to sell. And look, that was the message to begin the year: the runway, transition, and trying to get some of these young guys and figure out what they are. Right? To me, you got to stick with the plan. You can't waver back and forth. Stick with the plan and let the young guys go and see what you have for the future. But you mentioned something else just a minute ago about no one is technically untouchable. Well, Katie Wu just had a piece out of The Athletic. If you're not subscribed, go subscribe. She does great work there. And she just her latest piece from last night talking about some of the trade candidates for the Cardinals. And she mentions Brendan Donovan, a guy that's drawn interest apparently from the Dodgers and the Yankees in trade discussions. So, look, we all like Donnie, Josh, and I don't think anybody wants him to go. But look, if we're going to have that mindset to think about the future, he's 28 years old. How much longer is he going to be a part of this team and of this core? So, to me, he's going to get a very good return. This is probably the highest he's ever going to be as far as a value. So, if you can get somebody that is controllable, young, established major leaguer, I'm all for it. But what stance do you have on Donnie?
Yeah, I'm with you in the terms of you're going to find very few people who follow the Cardinals or cover the Cardinals who have a bigger affinity for Brendan Donovan than I do. I just think he's the consummate pro, a great ball player. He's clearly a leader in this clubhouse and something that you can't quantify on paper. If you get a trade value machine, you can't put leadership into it. Like, it's something that you just can't say enough about a guy like Brendan Donovan. We had him on our podcast not that long ago. He's just a great dude. I think he represents Cardinal baseball in the best way. But with all that being said, yes, no one is untouchable. And so if a team like the Dodgers does come in and overwhelm the Cardinals with an offer where Bloom and Mozeliak are talking and they're like, this is what we want for Brendan Donovan, and the Dodgers say, okay, we'll give you 10, 15, 20% more than what you think he's worth, it's a conversation you have to have because of those things you talked about. Like, he is 28 years old. That's not old, but it's not young in baseball either. 2 years of club control remaining, and the Cardinals made a mistake not extending him a few years ago. They could have gotten him at a much cheaper value for a long-term deal, and instead they've waited it out. Now his market value is going up and up and up. I don't see a world where there's going to be an offer that comes through that makes me want to move Brendan Donovan. But again, it doesn't mean you don't pick up the phone and you have those conversations and see if the Dodgers offer you a young, controllable starting pitcher and a prospect that has some high upside. Because if you're the Dodgers, you can afford to take big swings like that, add to Brendan Donovan to ensure another World Series championship. And if you're a team like the Cardinals, you need as many assets for the future as possible. So to me, Brendan Donovan is the guy you build with. I know that his best days are probably right now and maybe the next few years, and it's probably a decline. I'm not as worried about him being a guy that falls off in his 30s. And I think he's the kind of guy that can bridge the eras where he could be the leader for the guys like J.J. Weatherholt, Liam Doyle, future Cardinal prospects to come through to help build the Cardinal way. Because that's one of the things that's made the Cardinals so successful over the decades is having guys that have done it before and won before. Even though Brendan Donovan's not a World Series player, he definitely embodies all of those things in a player. I like having that influence in that clubhouse moving forward. But at the same time, if the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Astros come in with an offer you can't refuse, I see why the Cardinals could consider it.
Yeah, for sure. Have to at least consider it. All right, three guys, Ryan Helsley, Phil Maton, Steven Matz, all on expiring deals in the bullpen. Do all three get traded?
That's $1 million question, and I think if the Cardinals lost both of these games to the Padres, I would say confidently yes. Now I don't know what the front office is thinking here. Again, if I were in Mo's shoes right now, and especially if I were talking to Chaim Bloom, my philosophy would be to trade those three guys. Ryan Helsley seems pretty confident he's getting traded. I think it's 2 days ago now. He told reporters that he believed there's a 90% chance that he was going to be traded at the deadline. So I do think they'd move at least one of those guys, even if they're in it. I think for them to take all three would, in their eyes, be waving the white flag. I'm just not sure if they're going to do that yet. I believe moving all three makes a ton of sense. So I would say Helsley seems like a guy who's for sure going to go. Maton and Matz to be determined.
So looking at, we talked about runway and some of these young guys. Obviously, still waiting for Gorman to get back, as well. Walker just coming back. But as you look at maybe even forecasting to next year a little bit, I think no doubt Ivan Herrera is going to be here. He has established himself as your top hitter probably on the team. Again, you have some other guys that you like. Alec Burleson's having another nice year. Wynn's still showing some good things. You've seen some flashes from guys like Victor Scott and even some young pitchers. Who are some guys that have stood out to you? Some guys, look, you think, okay, these guys need to be part of my core next year.
Yeah, I think you started off with Ivan Herrera there as the guy where out of all the position players the Cardinals have right now, especially from an offensive production standpoint, he's clearly the highest level of them all. I don't know what it is this morning, but as of yesterday, he was like 12th in all of baseball weighted run graded plus. So like that measures out basically ballpark factors, everything. And he's a top 15 hitter in baseball this year when he's healthy. And over the last few years, he's been about top 25 hitter. It's just he hasn't been healthy enough. So, okay, can you keep him healthy? Does remove catching duties from him, DHing him, or potentially an outfield move long-term, keep him in the lineup? I think that's the direction they're moving. Obviously, Brendan Donovan's been awesome this year, but is he a part of the core long-term? We'll see what the Cardinals think at this deadline in the offseason. I think outside of Ivan Herrera, Alec Burleson's probably the guy who's impressed me the most this year. But even then, like, I just look at all these guys right now, and you can make an argument to me for any of them that the Cardinals could move on from one of them or two of them to make room for guys coming up and to get future value. Because outside of Ivan Herrera, I don't know. Like, I love Mason Wynn, but is he a superstar? Is he even a star long-term? I don't know. And with those kind of guys, I don't think you can hold them tight-fisted. And so I do think Ivan Herrera, Mason Wynn, Victor Scott, Alec Burleson are here to stay. Obviously, J.J. Weatherholt's coming, but what do they do with Lars Nootbaar and Jordan Walker? Walker's looked great as of late, but prior to the last week and a half, he was one of the worst hitters in all of baseball this year. So you got to see more runway with these guys. But this offseason, the Cardinals are going to have to pick and choose. They're going to have to move on from some of those guys. If you look at the Cardinals' top 15 prospects, like 8 of them need added to the 40-man roster this offseason.
Yeah.
So there is a roster crunch coming, and it's going to be on Bloom to figure out which are the guys he wants to invest in and who is he going to turn into assets, whether it's current big league talent that's for the pitching staff, whether it's future prospects, but they can't hold them again like they did this year going into next year.
And that's kind of, you led me to my next question, because I want to talk about a couple of these guys and going to have to make decisions. And you kind of alluded to it. I think probably, maybe you don't make the decision now at the trade deadline on some of these, but maybe that's an off-season move. But look, when you have areas of surplus, I think Cardinals, it seems like for so long, they got these prospects. We've got to hold on to them. We've got to figure out what they are. Sometimes they wait too long. Sometimes, obviously, we know, they've didn't wait long enough and gave guys away. But, for example, in the outfield, Nootbaar, do you keep him? Alec Burleson, maybe you pick one of those. Walker, do you get rid of one of those guys? You got a surplus in the infield. You have, obviously, Thomas and JC around. Obviously, you talk about, if Donnie can stay, Weatherholt is coming. He's coming. Maybe I'm hoping that he'll get a shot here at the end of the year, September call-up or whatever. But he's coming. Cesar Pareto, he's a good player down in the minor leagues and other guys as well. So, look, you have some surplus in different areas. Can you figure out and maybe trade, get some assets, and then fill in some of the holes elsewhere? But who are some guys that, for example, Nootbaar, would you hang on to him? Would you trade him? What would you do for some of these decisions?
Yeah, I'll preface by saying ultimately with almost all of these guys, it depends on what offers are coming in, because I think I would probably be shopping Lars Nootbaar, looking to move him. Again, I'm not someone who's anti-Lars Nootbaar. I think he's a quality big leaguer, and I would not be surprised at all to see his best days ahead of him with another organization. Not even because it's the Cardinals' fault. I just think there's untapped potential there that I think he's going to lean into at some point. But that's why I think other organizations would love to acquire a Lars Nootbaar. And so I think you shop someone like that to go get, whether it's cost-controlled starting pitching, whether it's some prospects for the future, and then you turn toward Alec Burleson, Jordan Walker, Victor Scott, Donovan, guys like that for your outfield. But if organizations are coming and making even better offers than Alec Burleson, then maybe you move him and you keep Nootbaar instead. So I think it really depends on what the offers are that around the industry. But Newbar, I think specifically, is the guy that I've been circling as. He probably is worth more to you in a trade and acquiring other assets than he is to the Cardinals at this point, because Brendan Donovan, Large Newbar, or Alec Burleson, J.J. Weatherholt can fill in the production that you lose from Large Newbar, and then Newbar can gain you something you don't already have. So I think Newbar is a guy that could easily be moved on from. Nolan Gorman's name continues to pop up as hey, they're listening on him. And so even though he has the big-time power that they lack, I don't know if they have enough time to keep waiting on it to surface. So I think he's another guy they may choose to move on from. And then outside of that, it's just really dealer's choice on Chaim Bloom's part.
How much of an influence do you think he's going to have? Do you think he's going to have a big say, Chaim Bloom, as far as those decisions and working closely with Mo?
Yeah, I think this has been one of the weirdest. The Cardinals do a lot of things that frustrate people, and one of the ones I continue to not understand is the messaging and the communication. And because at the end of the day, they've talked about that Bloom is working hand in hand with Mozeliak. So it's not like Bloom's in some corner where Mo walks into his office sometimes and is like, hey, do you want to have an input this time? And then other times I don't consult with you. They work together. But I think the thing that will frustrate people, and I understand it, is at the end of the day, it is Mo's call. But Mo has talked about that he wants to set up Bloom for success for the future. And so I think if you see them selling assets at the deadline, Bloom has full reign within that. If they're going and buying people, they're not going to be trading a prospect that Bloom's in love with. It's a complicated, weird situation that you do not see in sports, where you have a transition of leadership like this, which makes it so hard to understand and comprehend all the voices in the room. But I do think Bloom has a major impact on what happens. It's just at the end of the day, it is up to Mo to either execute what Bloom wants, to do 90% of what he wants, or to go in the other direction. And only time will tell on if he honors what Bloom is wanting. And at the end of the day, I also wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals pin most things on Mozeliak at this deadline, even if it's something Bloom wanted, because it's one of the advantages to having him right now. The DeWitt family's got to be thinking about how long-term they need to rebuild trust and excitement at the fan base. And so if there's anything unpopular that happens, I don't think they want to say, well, that was Chaim's idea. I think they like the idea of Mo taking the brunt of the criticism this deadline, which, again, may be warranted. I don't know. But until we see what moves they make, it's hard to know how much Bloom's influence is there. I just know it's there to a significant extent. I just don't know if he's leading the charge or if he's more giving input on things.
Last thing, and I'll let you go, Josh. Again, Josh Jacobs, site expert at Redbird Rants, Dylan the Cards podcast. It seems like every trade deadline, there's always kind of a mystery trade. No one had a beat on. No one saw this coming. Will we see that again this year, whether it be throughout baseball or even with the St. Louis Cardinals? Maybe is there a name that you would throw out there to say, look, he's not on anybody's radar per se, but maybe he's a guy that could get traded as well. So I guess my biggest question or overarching question here, Josh, is this going to be kind of a bland, very predictable type of trade deadline, or is there going to be some chaos mixed in?
Yeah, I think around the industry, I bet we're going to see some deals that we did not expect to happen, like those quote-unquote baseball trades where there's contenders making deals with one another, giving a surplus in one area for something of another. I would, if I had to bet on the Cardinals, they would be selling the relief pitchers that they have and getting prospects for the future. So nothing crazy, but I would not be shocked, and I don't think anyone should be shocked if they see Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, Alec Burleson, a player like that in a deal that gets them controllable pitching for the future. If there's a team that really needs a bat at this deadline and has a surplus of pitching to make the move, I think the Cardinals are going to be open to a move like that. Now, do I think it's likely? No, but I think they're saying, hey, come make your best offer, and if you move us and give us something that we want to move on from Gorman or Nootbaar or Donovan, they're going to be open to that. So would I bet on it? No, but I don't think anyone should be shocked if they start to see something like where Tommy Edmonds' name started popping out of nowhere at last year's deadline, and within 24 hours, he's a Dodger. Would that shock me with – I think it would shock me with Donovan, but it shouldn't be like there's no way in the world that could happen. We got to prepare our minds for that potentially. But like a guy like Newbar or Gorman, I think fans shouldn't be shocked at all if one of those guys is moved to the deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, Josh. Appreciate the time this morning. Again, make sure and follow him on X, Josh Jaco 98, and again, putting out some good work at Redbird Rants and host of Dylan the Cards podcast. So, Josh, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Rusty.
All right, Josh Jacobs, appreciate him for joining us this morning. Good stuff and a lot to think about and mull over. What will the Cardinals do? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, other guys that talked about in the trade deadline that the Cardinals are at least going to see about guys like Sonny Gray, Nolan Arenado. I don't see either one of those guys being moved, but potentially those guys. We kind of mentioned it, but JoJo Romero is another guy that he does have another year of control after this year. So maybe he's a guy as well. He's pitching really well right now. And maybe there's others, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I just hope that, again, the Cardinals don't necessarily deviate from their plan. They look at it and say, okay, this is what we are. Let's look to the future because this is what needs to happen in the best interest of the organization, not just, hey, let's go out and try to throw some toothpicks and bubble gum together for the rest of 2025. So that's what my hope. We'll see what happens. We got about a week to go to figure that out. We'll talk about that next week. But next, did you see what happened in Houston last night? The the Sacramento A's, right? Nick Kurtz. We'll talk about that coming up. Real quick, the complete deal tracker so far. There has been a few trades. The Yankees land Ryan McMahon for the Rockies, so they get their third baseman. Okay, Yankees have a third baseman now. The Mets get a left-handed reliever in Gregory Soto. Okay, you can look at that, kind of like a JoJo, what they get there. And then the Mariners have acquired Josh Naylor from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So that's a couple of trades that's already happened. We'll talk more baseball, a little SEMO coming up next.
Swing and a drive, deep to left. He's done it 4 times.
What a magical night for the Big Amish. Smooth as butter, baby. Turn it up.
How about that? Nick Kurtz. Get my mic working here. Nick Kurtz for the Athletics, 6 for 6 with 4 home runs, 6 runs, and 8 RBIs. He's 22 years old. He's a rookie. Unbelievable, Nick Kurtz, what he was able to do. Listen to this. So, never in baseball's 150-year history, this is from Jeff Passan of ESPN, has a player finished a game with at least 6 hits, 6 runs, 8 RBIs until Nick Kurtz. His 19 total bases tie Sean Green's single-game record, and Kurtz had 1 more RBI. And Passan writes, it's a genuine argument for the best game ever. The rookie in Nick Kurtz. Boy, he would be nice to have, wouldn't he? He was the same draft as J.J. Weatherholt. Nick Kurtz, I believe he went to Wake Forest, if memory serves correct. He's having a great rookie season and a great accomplishment last night. Hey, if you like that call, that was the Athletics TV network. Chip Cary's son was on the call there. I believe Stephen Cary, I think is his name. Don't hold me to that, but his son on the call last night. That's pretty cool. All right, let's take a look at Prospect League Baseball. Last night, the Cape Catfish fell 10-4 to the Rex, and they will just 15 hits they gave up last night. Rex just battled, and boy, they were good. Had fun last night. Was able to call the game for the home run deck there at Capitol Hall. That was fun last night. A little different perspective. Enjoyed that. They played today. The Fish do 7 p.m. against the Thrillbillies. So this coming Friday, so a week from yesterday, this coming Friday, August the 1st, Cardinals' first playoff game, they're going to be hosting the O'Fallon Hoots, a team that's been on a run, 17 in a row. Finally, their win streak was broke late last night, 17 wins in a row, and the Catfish are going to play the Hoots on Sunday. A little preview on Sunday, 4:05 start. That'll be our next broadcast here on SEMO ESPN. You want to check that out. But Catfish, the fourth best record in the Prospect League, 33 wins on the season, and they have some excellent players that have done some damage, guys that are league leaders. So check them out again. And make sure, guys, August the 1st, we need a full stadium at Capitol Hall. Make sure and join and support local, all right? Support local and support the Catfish. We'd love to have you guys come out on, again, August the 1st, 6:35 first pitch. Gates are open at 5:30 for that game on Friday. All right, last thing, we'll let you go. A little SEMO football talk, okay? They were picked third in the preseason in the OVC Big South. Also, McCoy Casey, one of 4 Ohio Valley Conference Big South players to be named to the FCS Football Central preseason All-American team. McCoy Casey, linebacker, expected to have a big year. They had media day. Head coach Tom Matukowicz talked, and he always has some interesting sound bites. He just does. And he's a funny guy. He's a serious guy, but love the way that he has built the program. But talking about this year is that, look, I think he's going to try to use this team with a little chip on their shoulder. No one believes in him. No one believes in any individual players. So no player is going to be above the team, that sort of thing. SEMO lost a lot, but there's still a team that's talented. And he talked about, look, guys that didn't get chances from years before that are now juniors and seniors that, they didn't get chances when they were freshmen, sophomore. Now they will, and they expect some big things from. But it's going to be a transition, going to be, growing pains potentially some this year. But Tom Matukowicz in the OVC Big South Media Day, listen in.
So several things. I think you start, when you look at this team, I think on paper we're going to be trash. When you look at us, 4,000 yards, walked out the door, 34 touchdowns, 500 tackles, 13 sacks, are either graduated or they went and are going to play for someone else, So at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting. Where are we at as a program? Are we going to be inconsistent and kind of rise and fall as players do, or are we able to reload with great players and kind of keep winning football going? So it's just a really interesting time. It'll be fun to see how this plays out. At the end of the day, I feel like this team's a bunch of nobodies. There's nobody talking about SEMO. There's none of our players anybody's talking about. And so, what's that going to look like? I think one other word I would describe for me personally is just kind of how excited I am for this year, which is strange, with what's going on in college football, being 12th years and getting older and all this stuff. Like, I'm kind of more excited for this year, and I've been in a little while. When there's been a lot of really, really talented guys that haven't had that opportunity in games yet. And they've put some really good film out in the last 6 months. And we had some, great players be injured, and they didn't kind of have the season they wanted to have. And so hopefully they get that opportunity to do that this year. Our schedule I'm excited about. We get to open up at Arkansas State, which is a huge opportunity for fans, for families, all those to travel. It's just a 2.5-hour road trip. They love football there. And really, at one point even in my coaching career, Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Cape Girardeau was the same. They were the same programs, the same football team. Just one had leadership and one didn't. And so we're different today. But still, that's a program that I look at that, hey, can we be that someday?
All right. That is Coach Tuke, and some interesting comments. He always has something in there that's going to be off the wall. Talk about his team is trash right, on paper. I thought that was funny. And then, again, nobody thinks anything of us. Talked about that as players as well. But, look, Coach Tuke, great what he's been able to do. Can he do it again this year? We'll see how this team can be. Again, talking about nobody believes in him. They were picked third in the OVC. So, number one, got to beat Lindenwood this year, please. Can we beat Lindenwood at the end of the year? And then that UT Martin game obviously is always so important and big as well. But again, their non-conference schedule is going to be interesting. And look, Jax Leatherwood, big, tall, I think he's 6'6", quarterback. Excited for him. They still have some weapons on the offensive end. Peyton Brown coming back at running back. I think they'll have a better offensive line this year, but a lot of question marks on the defense. That's kind of the question there. Again, McCasey, Nassim Caro is back. So there's some question marks there. But can the Redhawks piece it together? Time will tell, and hopefully stay injury-free as we get ready to go here for the fall and football time. So, again, you can check that out on YouTube and also on the on GoSoutheast.com. Check them out on the website as well. The media day from SEMO. So, folks, that's going to do it here for us at SEMO ESPN. Have a great rest of your weekend. Cardinals play tonight, 6:15. And make sure and check out the Catfish on Sunday. A little preview of the first playoff game against the O'Fallon Hoots. So 4:05 start on Sunday. Rusty Hendricks saying so long. Have a great weekend, everybody. You've been listening to the SEMO Scramble.
You've been listening to the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 for a dash of hometown pride right here on the SEMO Scramble. Yes, don't miss the latest news, scores, and stories that matter most to local sports enthusiasts. From the Boot Heel and beyond. Right here on SEMO ESPN 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, the SEMO ESPN app, and at SEMOESPN.com.